Draft Pod coming at you. All-time game, Georgia, Bama, all sorts of things to get into. Mason Graham was an animal. Do we want him for the Broncos? And it's time to get a new opinion on the Travis Hunter cornerback or wide receiver debate now. DNVR Draft Pod.
Let's go.
From the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. I'm with my guys, my eyes and ears out in the college football world, doing that hard work on that daily grind, covering their teams and giving me the insights and all the top guys in college football right now. Wow, wow, wow. What a time to be alive. What a September to remember that one was, huh? I had a blast.
This past weekend was electric. CSU was on a bye, so it was perfect timing. I had an opportunity to, watch some games around the league, scout a little bit, but also, you start off, you got Ole Miss and Kentucky in the morning, and cap it off with just an insane Bama Georgia game, some fun Big 12, Utah, Arizona. So there was just so much happening from a draft standpoint, from a college football standpoint. College football across the board has never been more fun. And I cannot wait to see how this season plays out, what it's going to mean from a draft context, everything in between. Great to be back.
College football is king.
It sure is. It sure is. It's almost defies logic, but boy is a king.
Always delivers.
It always delivers.
There are people that spend their Saturdays being productive. They do chores.
I know.
They go apple picking. They go to the pumpkin patch, all the fall stuff. Good on them. I guess somebody's got to do it. But I'm glad that I've got my Saturdays filled from 10 a.m. to literally 1 in the morning. I cannot wait. It's an awesome weekend this as well. I got Syracuse UNLV Friday night. Just a perfect way to start.
Yeah, as a family man, dedicating both Saturday and Sunday to football can sometimes be hard, but so worth it. So
well,
worth
yeah,
it.
but you've got actual responsibilities, dad duty. Jake and I we're
kicking it.
Yeah, we're just chilling.
Yeah, actually, when the 10 o'clock slate starts, the first 30 minutes I'm watching on my phone while my kiddo's doing ballet lessons. That's part of our Saturday routine. So.
Dedicated to the game.
Girl dad, though, being at ballet lessons, that's peak life. Nothing's better. College football, so much going on. And from a draft standpoint, that is always the case. How can we not start with this Georgia-Alabama game? That was nuts. Absolutely redonkulous. And I start with this question. We're doing a little draft roundtable on the pod today. So we've got all sorts of draft questions to get into, a full first month to analyze. That's what we're doing today. Jalen Milroe, wow, he looked outstanding. He's not the perfect quarterback by any means, but he's really good. And in this countable offense with some of those playmakers against that Georgia defense, he looked for real. And I'm wondering, boys, has Milroe surpassed Beck in your quarterback rankings going into the 2025 draft?
Absolutely. Clearly. But you got to give Carson Beck credit for bouncing back. I mean, they were in a hole, man. And he made some nice throws, but the mistakes were too much for me. Milroe's dual threat ability pushes it over the edge. It's not close right now for me.
Milroe's growth as an intermediate passer is significant. I mean, if you go back and look at that Michigan matchup in the playoff, he was very limited with what he was able to hit in the intermediate game. I feel like he's shown just so much growth in his decision-making, letting the play out. So last year, it's a lot of deep shots, and that's basically it. Or he took off running, didn't allow the play to develop. I thought his ability to throw with anticipation, in particular in the first half, really stood out to me. obviously coming back and making that throw, Ryan Williams with the play of the century, but it was a great throw. Like that is lost on that. Put it exactly where it needed to be. Backside gave his guy an opportunity to go back and get it. Yeah. Williams makes an incredible play, but the growth that Milroe has shown is significant, and I think it's going to be very Daniels-esque, with LSU last year, where it's like, I could see him being a guy that plays his way into the top 10. You're kind of talking about it, and then all of a sudden you look at these athletic traits. He's as fast as anybody since Lamar Jackson. He's got a cannon of an arm, and the growth that he's showing as an intermediate passer is the ability to throw with anticipation, the ball placement, all of it. It's night and day. I will say, I think you'll get some overreactions on Beck. I think he's still a solid prospect. They don't have great talent at receiver, but he's also not doing his receivers any favor with the ball placement. They're having to work really hard.
Yeah, the placement's lacking, man.
And honestly, like he had, I think, 3 picks in that game, and it could have been like 6 because the linebacker dropped what should have been a pick 6 in the second quarter. He had another one in the third that was kind of a YOLO ball that worked out for him. If you're Georgia, you like as a team that they showed and came back, and I still feel really high on that Georgia team. But yeah, I think with what we've seen out of guys like Quinn Ewers, out of Shedeur Sanders, out of Jalen Milroe, even Cam Ward potentially,
there he is.
There are more intriguing prospects with higher athletic ceilings.
That's the thing. He looks like same old Georgia quarterback, like just bigger Sensen Bennett, bigger Jake Fromm. There's not, we talk about the special sauce. Milroe's dripping with special sauce. Beck, it's like, where is it, man?
Yep.
And in the biggest games, Bama last year, Bama this year, the playoff, there's just a little juice lacking, like that poise, that ability to make those special plays, to make those plays above the X's and O's. I think we started talking about him as a legit draft prospect towards the end of last season. I think like Brugler from The Athletic had him as the 50th prospect of the class. And obviously he comes back to school, and coming into the season, in the preseason, we're thinking of him as a contender to be a top 15 pick, a top 3 quarterback in this class. This Saturday was just more of a reminder of he's probably just the 50th type prospect, right? Like he's that kind of, and if you're a quarterback who's the 50th prospect, really what it means is you're probably closer to like the 80th prospect in the class.
I mean, look, the situation he's in is as good as it gets in college football. That defense he played against is what you're going to play against more often than not on Sundays in the NFL.
Yeah.
I thought this weekend was pretty revealing in that. I mean, I don't think there's any hope for him to be QB1 anymore. There's no way he's the first quarterback drafted.
I would agree. I've really been underwhelmed, and I don't trust him in tight windows. So NFL windows, I struggle to see it. And the ball placement, something you mentioned, I mean, it really stands out. I mean, AJ's texting me about it during the game. He's like, man, the ball placement.
Their receivers just have to work so much harder, Like,
yeah.
I know Buffs fans don't love listening to me talk about CU guys, and fair game. But I've been really honest with how I feel about these guys as NFL draft prospects. And obviously, Shedeur and Travis are incredible talents, and you look at the way Shedeur throws the ball, like it's so easy for his receivers. It's just there. They're not having to come back to it. They're not having to contort themselves and make circus catches. A lot of the time with Beck, and again, I do think it's fair to point out that he does not have the same talent out wide as Bama. They don't have the receivers that Ohio State or Texas has. And
it's all right.
That's been common the last couple of years, but it's not like they have
They don't
chumps out there. I mean, these are still SEC receivers.
Right.
And he's just looked very human. To me, it's looked very just... Yeah, like I understand why they like him in Georgia. He's a guy that's a game manager. He's going to go out. He's not going to kill you typically with his decision making, although he had some very questionable ones in this game, especially late in that first quarter when I think Bama really had him rattled and shook. They responded well, which is a testament to him. There's nothing about Beck that I think you pound the table of like he's elitely accurate. He's an elite deep ball thrower. He's an elite improviser. He's an elite... It's just like he does everything just pretty well. Like he's a good college quarterback. Do I see him in the conversation with these other guys though? No, because his ceiling just is not the same as theirs.
Right.
Yep.
He's come through as a pretty meat and potatoes quarterback.
He needs an ideal situation.
Yeah.
He's going to need a difference maker at wide receiver. He's going to need a good running game to really flourish and reach his ceiling in the NFL, I think, especially as a rookie.
So let me bring it back the other way, because we kind of started on Milroe and then we transitioned to Beck.
Atta baby.
How much higher are you on Jalen Milroe as an NFL prospect at this point in time than you were, say, coming into the season? Like, is he a top 3 QB prospect at this point of the year to you?
I'd say so.
We are in agreement.
I think so. I think it's,
Is that 3 for 3, J Mike?
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you, Jake.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we've talked about it all offseason on this show, how look at what Kalen DeBoer did with Michael Penix and the jump that he made as a passer and how he developed his game, even relying less on his legs, but with Milroe, he's got this game-breaking speed. That play, what was it, the 3rd and 1, the 4th and 1, whatever, he took it around the corner. I mean, that is special speed.
You don't see people do that to Georgia defenses.
No.
The speed that it takes to get to the edge on that play,
it's outrageous.
That's NFL running back speed.
That was my next point is, just like we can knock Beck, because in this type of scenario, he hasn't come through. Milroe,
he needed this moment. Like, they had the SEC title game, but he was not the reason they won that game.
Yeah.
He needed this performance to legitimize his brand. Like, he needed the Jaden Daniels upset, Alabama and Tuscaloosa moment. You needed to do it against somebody for real.
That's right. And it just sticks out. And that athleticism, when it plays up like that, against that kind of defensive talent, it's a different deal.
They can beat anyone if he plays like that.
He's got a swagger to him, too, that I think is just so rare at that age. Runner. To be that composed after blowing that lead, because I actually think that's more shell-shocking as a team to be up big and blow the lead than it is to be the team that goes down big, because at that point it's like, all right, well, we're just going to throw the kitchen sink at you, and either we get blown out or we get right back into it.
DeBoer looked a little shook to me on the sideline.
He did. Georgia and you could feel it coming. Even when it was 30-7 and they got that safety, it was like, yeah, but Georgia's kind of hanging around here. And then they cut it to 2 scores. Like, you could feel it coming. They did it. But I think the composure and, frankly, for a lack of a better term, the balls to throw that deep ball after going down and be like, you want to know what?
Yeah. That's a hell of a call.
Fine. Because if you throw a pick there, that's game over.
Yep.
And you still couldn't really stop Georgia after that. They went right back down the field. I mean, you get the pick in the end zone late, which seals the deal for Bama. Talk about young skill guys stepping up for them. A couple of first-year players on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
But, man, this did so much for Jalen Milroe's stock. I think he's the betting favorite for the Heisman at a lot of places now. It's a QB award, obviously, and we'll get into the Travis Hunter stuff, who's made it a legit conversation. I wrote it in the newsletter yesterday.
Leader in the clubhouse as far as the QBs go.
After that performance against that team, yes.
In that moment, that's the biggest moment we've had in college football so far this season. And that's saying something, because there have been some pretty thrilling games.
Yep.
Yeah, and his athleticism just really plays up, which is my next question is, like, is this the most athletic guy we've seen since Lamar? You said as athletic, which I think is a good caveat. But as I'm watching that against Georgia, I'm thinking, boy, as a runner,
he might be faster.
Jaden's in that mix. Dak's in that mix. Josh Allen for the combination of size, speed, athleticism. Jalen Hurts.
Well, he's somewhere in between Lamar and Josh Allen, because he's not as big as Josh, but he is much bigger and stronger than Lamar was at the college level.
Right. You brought up Kyler Murray when we were talking about this off air, which I think is a great one.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler was moving at the same speed I think Jalen was. They both have dynamic speed. Lamar had dynamic speed too. I mean, it's a difference maker. I mean, look at what Lamar did as a rookie. Look at what Kyler did as a rookie. Like, that is what you're talking about. To your point, Justin, about how Beck doesn't really have those first round, like, popping traits.
Yes.
Like, that immediately gives Jalen Milroe a leg up his rookie year, and then if he stays healthy from there on out in his NFL career.
Totally. And the NFL run-first quarterback, it's a bit of a bad word still, and there's still guys like Justin Fields who people can use as examples of stuff not working out. There are also the Jalen Hurts and the Lamar Jacksons of the world, and as we've talked about many times on this podcast, in the new NFL, you kind of need athleticism to make up for the lack of adjustment to the game speed and allow you to just be able to survive a couple years while you're mind, eyes, brain, everything is able to catch up to the normal speed.
Well, and one of the things that's been really encouraging with Milroe in particular, if you go back and watch that Wisconsin game, he's running, but he's doing a better job of keeping his head upfield and looking to create plays downfield. Whereas last year it was bailing from the pocket and immediately looking to take off. There are times where you want him to do that because he is that special as a runner, and especially in a straight line, like he's got sprinter speed.
Yeah.
But he's showing the ability to create more. He's showing more throwing on the run than he did a year ago. And if he can do that with consistency, look out.
No doubt about it. Got a ton more questions coming to you in just a sec. But first, man, J-Mike knows about choosing chill and what a big part that is for Coors Light. I went to bed at 9.
That's a game changer.
Wow.
I felt like Garbo last night. Took care of the kiddo. It's like theme week at school, so
What's
every
today?
night-
It was Western yesterday. Right?
Pajama day.
Nice.
Pajama day. It was Western day. So that's chill. I love that. That's nice and chill. Going to bed nice and early, super chill. Mm-hmm. Feeling like crap, not super chill. So you balance it all out, and with these amazing slates of football, sometimes with the garbage slates of the NFL. Has to offer. Coors Light, always a great companion. Colorado through and through, like us, even though these guys didn't get the memo with the Tigers and Royals gear. The mountains turn blue, cold as the Rockies, so refreshing. It really is, because I'm becoming a week-old man, not in spirit, mind you.
Give yourself some credit.
But in body, for sure. Coors Light is like the last beer that I can still digest and doesn't destroy my stomach. So bless you, Coors Light. Thank you for all that you're doing for me, for my friends, and our greater at-large community. Make the most of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light, baby. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Colorado, Golden, Colorado. And what's more chill than having beer delivered straight to your door?
That's the apex right there.
That's chill AF.
There are a few things better. Maybe winning big on Bet365. That'd probably be about the only thing.
Damn straight. Yeah, I'm SGP's not hitting parlays. If I just singled up all my picks, though, I'd probably be the richest man in the world. I would only be doing this podcast on a volunteer basis and just living off my bets. Alas, I parlay them all so that you guys can have winning picks. And I know the only way you can win is if I'm losing. So I'm doing all the legwork for you.
For the
That's
greater
right.
good.
Yeah, Bet365, man. What a partner. What G's. Use our code DNVR365 if you haven't signed up already and get in on their awesome offer where first bet $5, $200 in bonus bets right in your account right there. I know Jake's been killing it on the early payout. This guy.
Buffs hit it on Saturday.
You know what I'm starting to do? Use SGPs as a teaser. So you take a little off the spread or you take a little off the total, and then what you took off, you add it on the other side. Worked for the Buffs last week. It was great. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER and keep an eye out for our Broncos boosted SGP for this game day. I'm excited about that one.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was about to tease it. We got a big one coming up against the Raiders. Snap a 9-game losing streak, hopefully.
Oh my God.
Aaron,
You gonna be there, J-Mike?
Yeah, I'll be there.
J-Mike's making it happen.
Big game against the Raiders. Got to be there.
Yeah.
Throwbacks. Got to see those in person. Shout out to everybody in the Toyota chat, especially you. Aaron wants to know where Hank's at. I mean, it's Kentucky.
man.
How are you going to be
Aaron.
dismissive of a stoop sled program?
Aaron, he was off the pod for too long. That was a real
That was a you watch NFL ball now. Hank.
Yeah, right. He wasn't thinking, man. He just wasn't thinking.
That's
we
classic.
know this.
Sitting 10 a.m.
I mean, we
in the
always
Grove.
shout out our
like,
guy Aaron.
Ole Miss is kind of a front runner program. They love the big night games, but on like a sleepy day where they should just handle business. Classic Ole Miss come up short.
Kentucky, just amazing, man. Amazing stuff. Okay. J-Mike. the Travis Hunter debate. Jake and I, we're on the wide receiver side at this point.
I've changed sides.
No.
He's both. No, he's both.
Okay, both actually is the right answer, and I had the best caveat of all. But you've been off the pod for a couple weeks, so I want you.
I've gone back and forth so many times on this. I remember watching him in the Freedom Bowl or whatever it's called, Celebration Bowl. Thank you.
Oh.
And texting Jake and being like, he looks like Justin Jefferson as a receiver. That's where I think he translates at the NFL.
Yeah.
The plays he's made defensively, though, are so rare that
it's alien
I think he's a corner. I just think that the ability to react on the fly, his ball breaking skills, his ability to play man against anyone, I mean, that's the U secondary in general is just highly impressive. That's been you want to talk about why they're so improved as a program. Obviously, Shedeur has always been great. They've got a lot of talent. They're running the ball better. That defense is the reason that they are a legitimate program this year. And Hunter's ability to just make play after play, week after week, I think it's so special defensively that I think it's harder to find a corner that has Hunter's ceiling, like a PS2, like a Champ Bailey, than it is to find a wide receiver in today's market. And I think he could be an elite receiver, like a top 5 receiver. I still have a hard time seeing him do what he's doing at the NFL. And that's just because I've never seen it before, guys. Now, I've never seen anybody do it this consistently at the college level. So maybe he just can. Maybe he can. We will all have to wait and see. I don't think any of us truly know. But what he is doing right now is absurd. I just think that his ceiling as a corner is so rare that is a potential higher impact for me. So that's where I'm at. That's where I lean.
He's got to be both. I mean,
yeah, you can't let that talent on either side go to waste. But I do think he's going to need a primary, right?
For sure.
There's a little Shohei Ohtani where it's like you're primarily going to be a batter, but you could pitch, every 5th day, or maybe to loosen your load, let's do every 10th day, right?
I think it's something that depends on where he goes, and it could be a week-to-week thing, honestly.
Yeah,
Coach
right.
Prime,
matchup by matchup, almost.
Coach Prime was talking about it on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco, and he said,
shout out to those guys.
Look, if you put
what a great plug.
If you put Travis at cornerback, and then your offense just can't score points, you can't get guys open, the fans are going to freak out going, why isn't Travis playing offense? Same thing on the other side. If he's on offense and you got Justin Jefferson or whoever on the other side going crazy, it's like, why isn't Travis on him?
Well, the difference is just going to be that at the NFL, every receiver you're going up against is the top matchup collegiately, and vice versa. The corners he's going to have to work so much. Yeah. Yeah. Fair. But you know what I'm to play 130 snaps in the NFL level is going to be more physically taxing than doing it at the collegiate level.
Yeah, I should
That's
hope
not
so.
trying to take anything away from him because I've never seen anybody do this at the collegiate level.
Stamina-wise, 120 plus snaps in the Florida Heat against an up-tempo like Gus Malzahn offense is just stupid.
It shouldn't be possible.
Right?
It is.
It has not been historically, or at least we didn't think it was. And it's kind of like one of those things where it's like a 4-minute mile, and then as soon as somebody else does it, you'll probably see other people try it in the future.
That's the thing, though. We got to stop, and I hope nationally this happens too. Just stop putting limitations on Travis Hunter. Let him be him, and then wherever he goes, figure it out.
But I don't think it's necessarily putting limitations to point out that this has never been done in the NFL level.
No, of course.
And even guys that did play both ways at the collegiate level, we've seen it happen. Charles Woodson, Champ Bailey, Dion even.
Shaq Thompson.
They had
Miles Jack.
Primary position.
But they've never done it like this where they are truly both.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's fair. But we'll see if it is possible to do it.
I think there's a dream scenario where his primary position, where he ends up at a team that is zone heavy on defense. We talked about it on last week's show, so I won't divulge too much. But just so J-Max in the loop. And would never,
that's a good point.
would never use a first-round pick on a corner, right? Because if we're zone heavy, we're using our first-round defensive resources on
edge
other
rushers
positions, right? So he's primarily a wide receiver, but then he can play your third downs, your nickel packages on defense as well. And that's where, that pick against UCF on Saturday was just a reminder. He's such an alien in zone coverage. He can cover and go phase in and out of different zones like it's nothing, like it's seamless. And that's where I really think you're able to maximize all his talent while still giving him a little more rest than he is getting now, which, again, I mean, and it's not even that he can't do it. It's what could he be if his stamina wasn't stretched so, I mean.
But he does this because he wants to, though. Like,
well, right. And
but that's part of coaching
freakish.
is you've got to do, like, sometimes you have to make tough decisions that.
For sure. But
like, if we could, and I'm not even saying.
he's delivering
limit
on
him
both ends, though.
I know, but that's the point is, like, if his
nuts.
ceiling is this high as is, if we could cut down 20% of his snaps, then what level can he take it to? Because you're just that much, less gas.
I mean, that's fair, but I think you potentially miss out on plays like you saw against UCF. I don't remember the down and distance off the top of my head, but the dude's playing flat in cover 2 and just makes an otherworldly play. Like, that's an ordinary play. That's just a tackle at the line of scrimmage for every other defensive back. Because it's Travis Hunter, it turns into a turnover and it's your ball.
No, I mean, your team benefits when he's on the field the most. It's just crazy. Just crazy. So, yeah, no, I mean, I knew that would be good. So, the biggest draft fallers that thus far before I jump into another break in 4. And is Tory Horton one of them, J-Mike?
I mean, yeah, but he hasn't had a chance. He hasn't played in 10 quarters. He's played 6 quarters of football this season. So, when he's out there, you see what is possible for the most part. You didn't get to see a lot of it against Texas, obviously, but you see that the punt return against Northern Colorado and you see the explosiveness. Like, he is a game breaker.
It feels like he has enough of a resume and tape under his belt.
I would hope so, but I mean, the whole hope was to come into this year and play his way into the first round, and he very clearly has not had the chance to do that. I think it's fair to at least put him in the conversation. I think Carson Beck would be my furthest in terms of, like, who came in as this guy could be potentially a top 10 pick to, like, is he even a first round pick?
I think Beck's the big one, and a lot of the other ones are injuries related. Harold Perkins for sure.
Our guy.
Siobhan Ravel.
Yep.
Did they say that right?
Yep. How about Connor Wegman?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Going into this year, we're hearing, this guy could push for the first overall pick. He could be a first rounder.
Classic.
What has he done?
Enough with the A&M shit, everyone. Enough.
Yeah, right. Give it up. It ain't happening. Riley Leonard certainly hasn't been good. Landon Jackson, a favorite of mine, the defensive end from Arkansas. He finally had a big week last week with a sack against Texas A&M, but he has not been good.
We, at the beginning of the season, we compared Texas A&M and Duke, and I talked about how I loved what Duke did in the portal by bringing over Malik Murphy from Texas so much more than what A&M or any of these other programs did.
Yes, you did.
And I took a lot of heat for it in the comment section. They're 5-0. Look pretty dang good.
Yeah, Duke, that's a program that just keeps finding ways.
They're disciplined. Like, they just kind of strangle you to death, and they remind me of, like, Utah State basketball, where it's year after year. They lost all these dudes. They shouldn't be able to sustain it. What they were doing didn't seem improbable in the first place, and then you look up and it's like, oh, they went 8-4 again.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. Anyone else come to mind as far as fallers?
Ollie Gordon.
Oh, for sure. Big
Huge one. That's a great one.
I mean,
he's been garbage.
I don't even know if he's in the top 3 running back conversation at this point.
I think he's worked his way out of the top 5, frankly.
He's been rough. I mean, those are the big ones to me. That in terms of the high. I mean, the Clemson guys have not done anything to help their cause.
Yeah, DJU is not going to be an NFL quarterback.
DJU has had a rough one.
Yeah, Dunzo.
We weren't high on him anyways, though.
No, but yeah, that's a big one. He's not having his Cam Ward season. It's over for my guy.
Yeah,
Risers.
Risers, yes, absolutely. We got that question in the Toyota chat, and we are going to hit that on the other side of this break. Speaking of Toyota, I shouldn't even bring this up, but man, I saw an awesome video online of, like, a 4Runner just killing a hill. You guys see this little viral video? It's Toyota for you then. Just mopping, taking care of business, man. And that's because Toyota's perfect for Colorado. Perfect to go on a nice little drive out in the mountains, out in the country, maybe a little football-related roadie. And And they have so many options, so many great options. If you're looking to go with a hybrid car, if you're looking for an all-wheel or, a four-wheel, Toyota SUVs, legendary. So many options.
All the power too, without losing the gas mileage. I mean, I was mobbing in my girlfriend's father. He's got the Tacoma. It's only a couple years old. Gorgeous, that burnt orange. I mean, it's just a good looking truck. It's smooth, man. And that's just the nice thing about Toyotas. They're perfect. You can mob around in the city. You can mob around the slope. You can go to the mountains. Built for snow, built for sun. Just the most versatile and frankly perfect vehicle for Colorado living.
And reliable.
Always reliable.
It's one of those cars you just take care of the scheduled maintenance.
You do your thing, it's going to do its thing, and you're going to own it forever.
100%. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. You know it. Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. Speaking of DNVR, 'tis the season of events. Broncos taking on the Raiders. Littest tailgate in town. Go check it out.
This will probably be the best tailgate we've ever had because the vibes are high. There's excitement again.
Yes.
The Raiders in
Great
town. It's
point.
supposed to be great weather.
Yes,
This
people
is gonna be the
believe
peak.
their
Yeah.
favorite. Yes, great point, Jay Mike. These two guys, regulars.
Yeah, see you there.
Yep.
Come have a beer. We can talk
They love
football.
the
It's always
tailgate.
awesome to see everybody.
DNVR bar, Rammy's
Perfect.
watch
We got a
party.
watch party coming up on Saturday, 4:30 p.m. kickoff Mountain Time. Come through, $4 house shots throughout. There's going to be giveaways from our girl Lindsay, who's going to be leading it. It's going to be awesome. She's as proud to be as they come, so come through.
The proudest to be.
The proudest,
Yeah,
some would say.
that's true. And of course, Jakester gets a bye week, but before you know it, next Saturday, up in Boulder for a Buffs tailgate for the K-State
I'm glad
game.
that's a late one, by the way, because that's going to work out perfectly for me with an afternoon game. I'll do my show, then tune in, watch CU K-State. Mwah. Perfection.
I'd rather that than 10 a.m., so I'll take it.
Yes, no doubt. You want to own the night slate. 10 a.m. College football isn't meant to be played at 10 a.m.
Look, I'm a night owl. I'm never going to complain about a late game.
I was going to say, I'm an old man, so I might actually prefer
Yeah.
the 10 a.m. than the 8:30. But from a fan standpoint, from an energy, from a vibe standpoint, you want the late game. Give everybody a chance to tailgate, get the vibes up, get the
Yeah,
energy
definitely.
going.
ddnvr.com/events, QR code right there has you covered on everything and anything you seek from our event side. Okay.
Risers.
Risers, baby. Risers. I'll let you start before I dig in on my O-line risers, and then we can go from there.
I mean, I don't think anybody's helped their cause more than Jalen Milroe, but I don't want to get... We've already talked about that, so I'm not trying to get too repetitive. Ashton Gianti confirming his status as running back one. What he's doing right now, over 10 yards a carry. He's like minus 150 to score 3 touchdowns this weekend. To score one touchdown, it's like plus 3,500.
His over-under for rushing yards is like 193.
It's
What
absurd.
a freak. Every time I watched an offensive possession for the Broncos against Wazoo last week,
There he is. He's gone.
he was doing freakish things. Freakish things.
I mean, obviously the CU guys, but we've talked plenty about
Best
them.
running back prospect since.
Bijan?
Since Bijan, yeah, the
Yeah.
most complete.
Yeah. Has some Bijan elements to his game.
They're
Definitely.
very similar.
Yeah.
I actually think his getaway, he's looks more explosive this year. His getaway speed, I think he might actually be faster.
Right. Yeah, he's crazy good. Caleb Johnson's a good one in the chat. He's certainly that's another running back that has been rising up some.
Shoot, he'd be in the Heisman conversation if this was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Khalil Mullings, the
Hell yeah.
other running back in the Big Ten, who's been a huge riser. We didn't mention Donovan Edwards as a faller, but I think he certainly
Definitely.
qualifies. We've got the Toyota chat mentioning Jackson Dart. Yeah, riser.
I think he's kind of who we thought he was, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, that Kentucky game is showing you that he, so far in that Kiffin offense, has mostly just beat up on bad teams.
They're front runner. They're a front runner program.
Yeah. I think Trey Higgins, the wide receiver who we talked about last week some for Ole Miss, he's probably a more significant. Trey Harris, I'm sorry, is a more significant riser than Dart has been.
Has Quinshon Judkins lived up to the expectations the Toyota chat would like to know? They're complicated because they're with that two-back system, and it's hard. Yeah, exactly. The level of competition that they've played has just been so suspect.
Yeah.
They do break a lot of explosive runs, so I think Judkins is kind of doing exactly what was anticipated. I don't know. We need to see them play a legitimate team. But Ohio State might be the best team in the country. They might be. I just don't really know how to judge what I've seen so far.
Extremely hard to tell. Yep. And boy, all these Big Ten matchups are throwing me for quite the loop these days.
2 quarterbacks. Cam Ward, obviously, who I think we're going to get into. Big riser. I think he's in the first-round conversation.
Yeah.
How about what Kyle McCord has been doing after being thrown to the side of the road from Ohio State?
It's a great one.
Perfect system for him. Gets to show off that arm strength.
Get to see him in action tonight against UNLV, right?
Tomorrow night, yeah.
At
Friday
UNLV,
night matchup.
yep.
UNLV looking to go 3-0 against P4 teams.
Crazy.
They're a legit playoff contender.
What a season they are having.
Like, their defense is for real.
2 massive risers on the offensive line. Texas's right tackle. We've talked about Banks, the left tackle, a whole bunch. Talked about him throughout the whole season. But Cameron Williams has really put on some great tape. Dude just moves really well and is mammoth-sized. Just a bully.
Starting to say he might be better than Banks. What do you think?
To move like that at that size, I get why people are intrigued. I don't know if he's as clean as Banks is at this stage, but...
No, he's not. He's not as clean. He's not as polished. But if you're dreaming on a guy and talking upside, yeah, his tools are more high-end. And Banks, there's some people who say, next level, you might project more as like a guard. Which, again, like, you're high-level left tackle. What the heck are we doing trying to move you at guard? Like, do you know how hard these guys are to find? I won't get on that diatribe too much, though. But, yeah, his tools are gnarly, man. And then it's Simmons, the left tackle for Ohio State. He's getting some love. Again, they got to play some real competition for us to get too high on him. Ernest Green III, Georgia's left tackle, I've been very impressed by. I thought he played quite well against Alabama, and he was starting last year as well. He's another big boy, just huge, but he moves nicely. He can lean on guys, and I think the upside is tremendous. And I think those are all guys that the Broncos might be in the market for, depending on how things go this offseason.
He's a stud. He might fall to you a little bit if Georgia kind of falls back here, which could kind of be a dream scenario for us. Yeah, I was really impressed with that Georgia line. The Bama stopped the run pretty well, and they did create some TFLs, but they did a good job of keeping Beck clean, because especially in the interior, the Bama D-line has really taken a big leap this year. We're seeing them look much more like the last couple of years. I think back to that matchup against Texas and Tuscaloosa, where it was like, man, like they just don't have the guys. And gotta credit DeBoer, because it's a lot of guys that have been in the program for 2-3 years and have just kind of been falling behind the scenes, and he's really found a way to bring the best out of them.
Yeah.
Chat's asking about Deion Walker being a riser, but you were on him.
He's where you thought he would be.
Deion Walker, great nose tackle for Kentucky. What 2 weeks?
Great
he's
poll
put
in the
together.
Toyota chat, by the way.
Yeah, I'd say he's, and it wasn't just me. I think like PFF was pretty high on him. I think he's firmly in that top 20 conversation, where a man of that size with those tools should be. John Simmons was the Ohio State left tackle. Also, Ariante Irsay, the Minnesota left tackle, getting some good love. I think Jalen Walker, the Georgia linebacker, is also one of the biggest risers. Probably the best off-ball linebacker in the class. Jihad Campbell, another guy who's risen significantly. He's the Alabama linebacker who had a big interception, right, on Saturday. So Both are intriguing because I could see them on the edge. I could see them off ball, so on and so forth.
Zaysky, just real quick before we move on, talk Cam Ward. He wants to know, is GNT good in the passing game? Yes. He has not had to show a ton of it this year because he keeps breaking 60-yard runs. But yeah, he brings a lot of the versatility that Bijan brought to the table. Very complete back. Honestly, exactly what the Broncos could use.
He's so low to the ground. I could see him being awesome in pass pro too.
He's a stud.
He's one of those guys you like hone that a little more.
He's got the mentality for it too. I'm gonna drop the shoulder. You're coming at me full. I'm not making any business decisions here.
His strength and contact balance are plus.
They're insane.
It's just every week you see a run. It's like, oh, he's in the middle of 6 dudes. Oh,
the first touchdown
there's 10
run,
yards to oh, okay, it's a 70-yard run. All right.
The first touchdown run against Wazoo was crazy.
His change of direction is
James Pierce from Tennessee, Faller. They want to know in the Toyota chat. He hasn't.
I'm not ready yet.
I wouldn't say he's fallen, but it's much like Tory, where it's like he has not done what you hope to see this year to cement his status.
When I have watched Tennessee, there are other guys who've impressed me.
Tennessee's for real. We haven't really talked about them. They're for real.
Tennessee is for real. Next question is, where's Cam Ward rank for you in the QB rankings of this class?
QB 2 or 3 right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's in there.
He's throwing darts out there. He's making plays.
He also still has these moments that are like you think back, like he had a really dumb fumble early on in that game where it was just really lackadaisical. Sometimes the picks where I'm just like, man, when he is on, it is as good as anybody in the country. I also feel like he still has these moments in particular where he disappears. They obviously had a huge comeback.
I did too, man.
Highly controversial with the way it ended. I can't believe they reversed that call. I didn't think it was a catch, but the fact that they called it a catch, I don't know how you go back on it.
I watched most of that Vatek game thinking, classic Cam Ward. I told everyone this is why you lose money on Cam Ward, and he pulled it out. So maybe it's a little different. He's a good athlete. He's always, anytime I look up his size, he surprises me that he's way bigger than I thought.
He's only 22, too. I feel like it feels like he's like 25. According to Google.
I assumed he was like Michael Penix's age.
It says May 25th, 2002. So he'll be 23 this spring.
No, shoot. That makes a difference. And, another riser we probably haven't talked about enough is Abdul Carter, who for Penn State is having himself a year. 7.5 tackles for a loss, credited with 11 pressures and 3 sacks. And he's just the next edge rusher from Penn State,
I saw him a lot in the first round, though, coming into the season.
But like now it might be like, he in James Pierce's spot?
That's true.
As the top edge.
So who is QB2 for you guys? Because Shedeur is your guys' QB1. So who is QB2?
I think it's a 1A, 1B, you or Shedeur.
Really? Right now, I'd probably say Milroe.
QB1.
QB2.
QB2.
I think
Shedeur's the best quarterback
ahead
in the country.
of yours.
I think Milroe's played his way into the conversation for QB1. I don't think I wouldn't put him as a front runner. I think with what we've seen Shedeur do as a passer this year, he's probably the front runner for QB1. But to me, it's those two and Ewers. Those have by far been the best 3 QBs. And Cam Ward has at least played his way into making this a conversation. But Ewers has got to stay on the field.
No, I know. I mean, if Ewers' upside wasn't so otherworldly, he wouldn't be in the conversation.
He looked damn good before he went down.
It's otherworldly, man.
His ball placement, his ability to hang in the pocket and make these throws on the far side of the field.
Here's what I'll tell you. Quarterbacks who can flip a game on its head with like 4 passes a game because they've got a cannon like that.
Shedeur and Ewers.
I think they come out like 1 every 8 years. Like, they are hard to find, man.
You might have 2 of them. And Milroe's kind of playing his way into the...
Yeah.
I'll take the upside of the athleticism with Milroe.
I'm really high on Milroe right now, but I'm a Bama guy, and I'm fully in the moments post-Georgia win, so I want to add that as a caveat.
To me, Cam Ward is at best QB4, but I think that's...
The fact that that's even a thing, though, I mean, I think coming into the year, a lot of people had just given up on his NFL stock.
100%, man. 100%. On to the next question. We talked Abdul Carter. We've talked James Pierce. Well, Mason Graham just went off against Minnesota.
He's different.
He is such a wrecking ball as an interior defensive lineman. And so I ask you, has he consolidated himself or turned himself into the top defensive prospect in 2025? Now, for the sake of this podcast, let's put the little asterisk or in parentheses, not named Travis Hunter.
For sure. The value on having an interior rusher who can generate push and is an athlete like that is, you can't put it into words. That's exactly what every single NFL team is looking for and exactly what they could all use more of.
We talk about it so often, how hard those guys are to find. And yeah, he's just different.
Well, not only is he dominant as a pass rusher, but he does it with discipline. Like he's, some guys that are super explosive like that in the interior, it's great, but then they're constantly out of position in the run game. They're constantly over pursuing. They're constantly, hurting the team for as much positive as they bring. And you don't see any of that with Mason Graham. He is a complete interior D lineman with plus level pass rushing traits. And I think he's going to be a top 5 pick.
Yep, his ability against the run is what basically won Michigan the game against Alabama in the Rose Bowl. He's got 3 sacks. It's already matching last year's total. He might be on pace for 10 sacks as an interior defensive lineman.
What's a good comp for him? Quinnen Williams?
He's more versatile.
Yeah, you're right. Probably sturdier. Maybe a smidge less explosive than Quinnen was. Quinnen was also so young, just a one-year wonder.
Yeah.
I know.
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
No, I know. He's fairly unique.
I can't think of a perfect. In terms of like a guy, I think he could be an Aaron Donald type impact. Like I think he could command that much attention.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, he's
different stylistically, but I just mean from
he's something else.
The way you're gonna have to basically scheme around this guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Derek Brown was very impactful like that too.
Yeah, he was. That's a good one.
Will Johnson is definitely in the conversation for top defensive prospect
no
as well.
doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
Great
I
point.
think Abdul Carter, James Pierce as well. Zaysky saying in the Toyota chat, where does Dylan from Oregon rank? Dylan Gabriel, of course. Yeah, he thought he was going to be a riser, but I don't know, though. I think he's kind of who we thought he was.
It's exactly what I was about to say.
So I'm more intrigued by Dart's upside. I'm more intrigued by Miller Moss's upside. I'm more intrigued by Drew Aller's
Nussmeier
upside.
getting some buzz too.
Yeah.
I think you see a quarterback why, despite his experience, the success that he had, why Oklahoma was willing to let him walk. Because if he was the real deal, a program like that finds a way to keep him.
No doubt. No doubt. Real quick, before we go to picks in kind of a week 6, is it?
6, yeah.
Do you still believe in Kyle Pitts? That's a big subject.
Yeah,
around
I believe in
Broncos
Kyle
country.
Pitts. I don't believe in the Atlanta Falcons.
Hell yeah.
I think that's the right take, but Pitts has to do something at some point, man.
Yeah, outside of that first year, it's been tough. Glorified receiver that you could maybe pay as a tight end. I'm in, but no more than a 3rd rounder. Okay. Let's go to our picks. Let's start with Syracuse at UNLV. UNLV, man, ranked and favorites in here. But we do get to see McCord, sorry.
Syracuse has
got my
looked good.
Qs
I mean, they've been
confused.
tough. They got a good defense.
UNLV 6.5.
So what's up with UNLV since the quarterback left?
They're better.
Okay.
They're more versatile, and they can actually take advantage of the speed they have at receiver. I don't know why Sluka was starting in the first place, to be honest with you. I had some questions about that coming in just from watching the Campbell highlights versus the Holy Cross highlights. It was clear that Haji Williams was a more dynamic passer. But the thing is what makes UNLV so dangerous is they fly around the ball defensively. They've got great speed. They're physical, really well coached under Barry Odom. I'm all in on the Rebels. They cover this spread at home.
Do we like the over? Is that a good play on this one?
What is it?
Fairly high, 58.5 is what I see.
I like the under. I think if it's that high.
Okay. That's the play. UNLV and is the under play. Cool.
I'll take Cuse then.
It is like that classic, especially from the Mountain West standpoint of like right when everybody starts to buy into the team, they have the letdown game at home that they shouldn't.
That's what worries me. Yep.
It does. There's some smell there, and I will be honest. But it's hard for me to go against UNLV after what I saw them do last week against a good Fresno team. Just beat their ass.
Homie in the Toyota chat. I'm having issues seeing the names, guys, but saying going to the Chargers game next week, 13th from the.
Would love to tailgate with you. We'll see you there, man. Come through.
Love that. UCLA at Penn State. Nittany Lions 28-point favorites. What?
On the road. UCLA has looked bad.
Against my better judgment, I'll take the Bruins because I don't think Penn State's that good to warrant being that big a favorite. But boy, do I despise it as a pick.
You're really going to trust Drew Allar to beat a team by 28 points with money on the line?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm taking the Bruins against my
absolutely.
They're daring you to take UCLA, which is why you take Penn State here.
100%. And the only top 25 matchup we have is Mizzou at Texas A&M. Texas A&M, Aggies favored by 2.5. So it feels like the book knows something we don't know. And this is the like Princess and the Bride poison chalice thing. I've been back and forth on this one several times.
Missouri's 4-0. They also escaped by the skin of their teeth against Boston College and Vandy in back-to-back weeks.
They haven't looked great. They haven't looked great.
They've got I think better proven offensive superstars at this point with Luther Burden.
No doubt. It's simply a better quarterback.
I gotta go with A&M, and I'm gonna hate every second of it.
Oh, sometimes I think you just got to be okay with being a simp, and I'm going to take Mizzou plus 2.5.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just going to write it. I mean, I've been on them since the summer.
They're the more fun pick. Like, if you're sitting and you truly don't care either way and you just want to sprinkle a little bit, that is the more fun team to back.
100%. Ole Miss out South Carolina.
Huge game.
Ole Miss 9-point favorites. You get to watch Rocket Sanders on the Gamecocks against the two defensive linemen were pretty high for the Rebels, plus Jackson Dart throwing it to Trey Harris.
Yep. I'm seeing -9 on the road.
Yeah.
South Carolina should have beat LSU.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Gamecocks.
Samesies.
I'll take South Carolina as well, but I will say this does feel like the classic. Everybody's out on Ole Miss and Lane hangs 60 on the road.
Natty rematch. Michigan at Washington. Washington favored by 2.5. This is another one where it feels like the book knows and I don't because I love Michigan, but I hate that quarterback. And every game's going to be a rock fight. But yeah, I think I'm taking the Wolverines because I think the Huskies might just be awful.
And they had like 400 yards of offense and just kept shooting themselves in the foot in that Rutgers game.
Yeah. I mean, that's an insane loss.
I'm gonna go Washington at home, but again, these a lot of matchups this week. I think you want to play the totals and not necessarily the spreads.
I'll take the Wolverines. Grant, and Mullings travel.
It's a good point. Also, what is Washington's offensive identity at this point? Like, what do you do well? Not a lot.
Boy, Jake and I are really aligned this week. You guys might want to just hammer Justin's
spreads.
Yeah.
I mean, Washington's a team in rebuilding mode right now. This year means nothing in the context of their program. They're just trying to get on solid ground at this point.
Yeah.
I just wonder, is this much like Ole Miss classic overreact territory after losing a stupid game in a weird setting on Rutgers? You travel all the way across the country. Now you've got Michigan coming to Seattle. Michigan's played some tough games. Do they overlook Washington? Yeah. You wouldn't think so after playing in the playoff last year, but we'll see.
Could see the argument for it. Clemson at Florida State. Last one. Tigers 14.5-point
We're
favorites.
getting a quarterback change, I think, for FSU.
Good for them. Makes sense.
They need it.
Yeah.
Give me Florida State at home.
What's the line?
14.5.
I'm taking Clemson.
I think Clemson might be better
They're definitely better.
than I thought coming into the season. Trusting them to cover.
That's a lot of points for a Dabo offense to cover.
Yeah, that's
But they
how
are
I
so
feel.
dominant defensively that, like,
Bull constrictor analogy.
I've
right.
talked myself into it. I'm actually going the other way, Clemson.
Okay, Seminoles.
Look,
Sounds
Florida
good.
State can't run the ball. They have no idea what's going on at quarterback. Mike Norvell is like freaking out on the sidelines all the time.
I feel bad for them, man. They got a raw
I
deal.
don't at all.
I think they cover despite the dysfunction.
I think there's a path to it, but
Wow, what a time. Thank you, guys. This was a true pleasure. Thank you, Riley and Alyssa behind the sticks. Thank you all for tuning in, giving us all your questions on the Toyota chat. Leave us a thumbs up, please, on your way out. Until then, we'll see you next week. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.